And we are officially live. Ciao Darmis, how are you? Welcome to this format, Turn Your Fears of Public Speaking into Fuel Live classes. Every Monday we gather here at 3 p.m. for a quick and impactful 15 minutes class designed to boost your confidence and skill as a yoga teacher and public speaker. If you missed the previous classes, don't worry. You can find them on my Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. You can also watch the full masterclass on turning fears into fuel by clicking on the link in this video. For those new here, I'm Faye, a passionate yoga teacherpreneur on a mission to empower you with the strength, confidence, and competence to transform your teaching into an inspiring force and your knowledge into a thriving business. Today we will talk about a challenge many of us face, whether in yoga teaching or public speaking, which is organizing our thoughts. I was a mess when the topic was to build a structure and organizing thought. I always had plenty of ideas to deal with, and most of the time I felt overwhelmed because I didn't know how to deal with all of them. Organizing thoughts can be overwhelming when planning a yoga class or planning a yoga speech, planning a public speaking speech event. We might find ourselves jumping between ideas, trying to fit everything in and rushing to cover multiple points. If you ever felt like you have too many ideas or get stuck to organize your thoughts, this session is for you. In this live class, we cover 3 causes of difficulties to organize your thoughts in public speaking, the consequences of that, and the impact and the three strategy to overcome it. Let's start first to identify the root cause of the problem. Let's explore together key reasons behind the difficulties to organizing thoughts in public speaking. What are the specific causes or triggers that you might experience? So first of all, it's the lack of a clear structure. Without a structure, our ideas can feel like puzzle pieces that they don't fit together. Second point, the second root of the problem is trying to cover too many ideas. We might want to say everything at once, but this can lead to information overload. If you are a yoga teacher trying to cram too many poses in one class, or a speaker trying to touch on every possible details on a topic or different topic, this can cause overwhelmment. A third point, rushing through ideas. In our eagerness to share, we can rush through thoughts without proper explanation or reflection, like being there with our thoughts and say like, is this serving me? Yes. Is this serving me? No. What can I do with it? And move on after that. Consequences of those problems. What are the negative effects of not addressing the difficulty of organizing thoughts in public speaking? Let's take a closer look at how those fears can manifest in real life scenarios. So, for example, when we lack clear structure, as a result, we have confused message, delivery, lack of clarity. So when our thoughts aren't organized, we confuse ourselves first. And because there is no clarity within ourselves, we confuse our audience as well. Second point, when we try to cover too many ideas, we overload ourselves and the audience. So it's very similar to the first one, but instead of confusing, we overloading, which is probably even worse, because confusion, if we have a confusion with ourselves, of course we're reflecting in the outer world, but when we overload, people are just switching off. Trust me. So too much information can overwhelm both you and your students or listener. Third point, when we rush through ideas, it's difficult to convey the intended message. Ultimately, the core message is lost, and what we really want to say doesn't come across effectively. So Better to focus on in one. But let's focus on the solution of those three causes of this problem in general. What are the actionable steps to overcome the difficulty to organize thoughts in public speaking? First of all, create an outline with key points. When planning a yoga class, for example, or preparing for a public speaking engagement, starting with a simple outline can set a strong foundation. It helps you to organize your thoughts, avoid information overload, and ensure that your delivery is clear and impactful. Let's have a look at the two approaches in both scenarios, yoga class and public speaking. So for a yoga class planning, you want to structure first of all the class flow. For example, begin by mapping out the overall flow of your class. Will it be energizing vinyasa sequence or a calming yin practice? How will you move through warm-ups, peaks, pose, and cool downs? So having that very clear, the general flow of your class. Then you want to choose your asanas, your postures. You want to decide on specific poses you want to include. What's the purpose of each asana? Are they meant to build strength, flexibility, or balance? Each pose should tie into the theme and purpose of the class. If the focus is on back bends, for example, you will want to prepare students with preparatory poses that resonate with back bends, that resonate with the opening the chest, opening the hips, and all that jazz. And then we're moving into like incorporate a theme. Pick a central theme that resonates with your class. This could be a physical theme, for example, hip opening, strengthening, building, whatever, or a philosophical one, letting go, mindfulness, gratitude, ahimsa, satya. The theme acts as a guiding thread that weaves through the entire practice. So it is important to have a theme of the class very straightforward in mind. And then we have the prepare your Dharma talk. Align your Dharma talk with the theme of your class. Keep it simple but meaningful. You don't want to have an elaborate lecture. Often is a short story or a quote or a personal reflection can be more powerful, more impactful than an extended talk about a certain topic, because it's still a yoga class. So there is not such a main focus. If you want to focus on philosophy, anatomy, asana, alignment, there's so much into a yoga class you can deliver that you don't want to overwhelm your students. So you want to keep the Dharma talk as simple as possible, but related to the theme of your class. Then you want to skim it down to key points. After you've crafted your detailed outline, trim it down to essential notes that you can easily glance at during the class. Those should serve as a reminders to keep you on track, but allow for spontaneity and intuition to what you see, what your student needs, what your students desire, and also what your students might struggle with. So always use your intuition and what you see and then adjust it from there. For public speaking scenarios, so you want to list key messages here. You want to start by outlining the central message you want your audience to take away. What are the main points they should remember after your talk? Craft the full speech. So after aligning the key messages, you want to craft like writing words by words your script. Once your key points are clear, write out your entire script, your entire idea into segmentation. This is your creative phase. So you want to bring support evidence, story, analogy, or researches to make your point stronger and more relatable. So allow your personality, allow your personal story, your hobbies, your interests, your passion to shine through as you craft your speech. And then is as similar to the yoga scenario. We want to refine and skim it down. As you work through your speech, go back and edit, condense it down, and to the most critical points. The goal is to make your speech as lean and impactful as possible. Why simplify? Well, whether you are planning a yoga class or a speech, simplifying or outlining into key points ensure you don't overwhelm your audience or yourself sometimes. Less is more. By honing in on just a few key points, you allow space for deeper engagement, focus, and reflection. Second point, focus on core idea and give examples from multiple angles. Let me explain. Instead of trying to cover, once you have the most effective way to create a memorable and impactful yoga class or speech is to center your message around a single core idea rather than trying to cover too many ideas, too many topics. Try to focus on one. Try to really simplify on one main concept and approach it from various perspectives. This approach adds depth, clarity, and richness to your teaching or presentation. Make it more meaningful and easier for the audience to absorb and remember. In a yoga class, as we said before, you want to choose a theme. You want to select one core theme for your class, such as, for example, balance. And then you want to explore balance through asana. So begin with physical balance by incorporating standing postures like three pose or warrior three or bakasana or side plank. And then moving from the asana to breath work, you want to transition into pranayama, where you want to promote as well balance in your body and mind. For example, alternate nostril breathing, Nadi Shodhana, is a great practice to emphasize the balance between the left and the right hemisphere of the brain, promoting a sense of equilibrium and focus. Here you are extending once again the theme of balance from physical posture into energetic balance, into energetic force, which is pranayama. And then after that, see the multiple angles here. And then after that, you want to balance in mindfulness, for example, you either as a theme of the class or either as a meditation of the class. Weave in meditation techniques to encourage students to find balance in their thoughts and emotion. Offer cues that invites them to notice the balance between effort and ease in each asana. In public speaking, let's view that. So you want to select a single, for example, yoga philosophy principle, or you want to talk about, let's say, yoga philosophy principle, and you are speaking about yoga philosophy. So you want to resist to urge to cover broad topic all at once. For instance, rather than trying to explain all the yamas and niyamas, which are the ethical principles in yoga, you could narrow your focus to just one, which is ahimsa, non-violence or compassion. And you could talk about ahimsa from multiple angles. Let me explain. For example, in the physical practice, discuss how ahimsa can be applied to students' physical practice by encourage them to listen to the bodies or avoid pushing themselves to the point of injury. This emphasizes kindness and compassion toward oneself in the asana practice. But if we want to simply bring it ahimsa as a speech, like you're sitting down and you talk to your students, you can simply start by the physical posture, the meditative posture, how they sit, how they are aware of their body. And that's the physical aspect of ahimsa. So you want to bring that into their awareness. And then in the relationship within oneself, for example, then you want to shift to how ahimsa extend beyond the mat and into the words that one's using toward oneself and toward the others, toward the community, unity, or people in general around us. And then you want to shift into the lifestyle choice. For example, you want to talk about ahimsa and the influences choices and the influence that might have in our life, in our choices, like the diet, the sustainability, and the treatment of animals and the environment, whatever. So you see, like ahimsa, it's a narrow point from the yamas and niyamas. And what we want to do here is to talk about different angles within one topic. That's how you create memorable experience for your students. By viewing ahimsa through different lenses, you give your audience a rich understanding of this one principle without overwhelming them with so much information. You know, the brain is always overloaded, so we have to be aware of that. And while I believe that this approach works because you create depth. So instead of covering many topics, you are able to explore one idea deeply, which leads to greater insight and understanding. But also, it can enhance clarity. When your audience knows the central message, it's easier for them to follow along and absorb the information, as I mentioned before. But also, as I mentioned already, you make it memorable by focusing on one idea only. You make the class, the speech more cohesive and memorable. Your students' audience leave with a clear takeaway that they can reflect upon and apply in their life. If you talk about all the yamas and niyamas, it's difficult for them to apply in their life right away. But if you talk about one topic, they go home and they apply that one topic. Remember, your brain can only absorb, or your student brain, let's say, can absorb so much information at once. By simplifying your content and diving deep into one idea, you create a more meaningful and resonant experience. So this is not only beneficial for your audience, but also strengthen your confidence as a yoga teacher, as a speaker, as you are able to own and a clear focusing messaging. Which is, especially if you are a beginner yoga teacher, this is a great advice. Just focus on one thing and master that one thing. As much as, you know, when you want to prepare your yoga classes at the very beginning, you want to have your foundation class, you want to master that class, and then from then you build upon. Third point, you want to journal one idea at a time. Journaling is a powerful tool for self-reflection, clarity, and creativity. When you're feeling overwhelmed by too many ideas, thoughts, or whatever, whether for your yoga class or for your yoga speech engagement, or a personal project, write them down can help you filter through the noise and focus on what's important. By journaling one idea at the time, you create a space to explore each thought more deeply, allowing you to decide whether to expand on it, modify it, or simply let it go entirely. So that was the class of today. If you have any question, please drop it in the comment. I'm more than happy to reply to them later on. Remember, a clear structure, focus on one idea, and journaling are key strategy to help you organize your thoughts. The more we practice organizing our ideas, the more confident and clear we become in our teaching and speaking. I love to hear from you. What do you struggle with the most when organizing your thoughts? Public speaking is a powerful tool that breaks down barriers, dispel fears, and foster an environment where voices are not just heard but celebrated. It goes beyond the stage, shaping careers, enhancing leadership, and empowering you to connect. Sorry, someone is calling. And empowering sorry, and empower you to connect more deeply to your students. At the Elevated Yoga Teaching with Public Speaking, our mission is to empower yoga teachers to discover their authentic voices through the transformative power of public speaking, skill communication, and authentic storytelling. We envision a world where public speaking isn't just a skill but a catalyst for growth. We believe that every yoga teacher, regardless of background or experience, should feel confident and capable when stepping into the spotlight. Join me next Monday to turn your fears of public speaking into fuel and step into the confident and competent yoga teacher and public speaker you are always desired to become. Until then, stay dramatically different. Ciao for now.